everybody. I'm going to grab my marker. Here we go. It is Pete with the Epic Ecopreneur. Here I am. This is the first time with the dry erase board. Hopefully you can see it. Either way, you can hear me. So today I'll be talking about, this is the third video in the series on finding investors. And this one in particular, this is the number 3 video on your actual investor presentation. We talked about seeking out investors, how to craft your vision and get clear on that. And now we're talking about the presentation itself, where you're actually presenting your plans. Perhaps you're one of the amazing ecopreneurs, eco-designers who wants to have a land-based business or retreat center or farm where you can show other people how healthy food is grown, how to treat the land in a way that supports us while supporting the ecological function. Perhaps you have a digital tool or business idea that you want to fund, and it's going to be applicable, what I talk about today, to all of those things. We're going to talk about the top ways these investor presentations fall short, the top ways where you can strike out before you've even struck a deal, and the only thing you really need in these presentations. It doesn't have to be complex. In fact, it should be very simple in order to get your message across and communicate your vision in a very clear way. And also, how to prepare to show up as the person who gets funded. How to do the inner work, the mindset work, the appearance work, and show up as your authentic self in a way that shows somebody else how you are really committed to this vision and how you're the person to trust with their well-earned money. And this is, across the board, this is applicable to any investment situation, whether somebody's providing a donation for a nonprofit type of activity, or if you're seeking investors who are going to be mentoring you on some type of business enterprise and are going to be compensated either via dividends or some type of return. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. So we're going to start with the top ways these presentations fall short. So number 1, it's unclear. So this is about your vision. So you can go back to the other video on clarifying your vision to really understand that this isn't about some complex mind map of here we do this, and this is how your investment is going to create benefit for the world. You want it to be meeting people in a place where the logic, and this is in any sales conversation, logic is meeting emotion. You get to wait while I write this down. Logic meets emotion. So somebody can cognize, yes, this makes sense, how they're going to get from point A to Z of the actual effective project being on the ground or out in the world. So they're able to cognize that mentally, but it's also attached emotionally. And honestly, guys, it's not that hard to get somebody on board emotionally these days if we're talking about future generations and their ability to have a resilient system, say, to feed themselves in the midst of uncertainty of climate change. If we're helping connect kids with nature, kids with food gardens, we're helping families get healthier, we are reducing the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, how is that connected to a deeper purpose and a deeper benefit that's really going to engage somebody emotionally? So that's one of the top ways that these presentations can fall short, is if you are not clear in the vision and if you're not connecting logic and emotion. Another thing, we're going to get to it as well in the final piece of how to show up as the person who gets funded, but another piece is just slow down and be yourself. Because if you are in any situation, if you're presenting and you're tripping over yourself and you're acting in a way that someone can tell that you're really nervous, one thing, the main the only thing that really matters, and that's why I say the only thing that you really need in these presentations is to show up as your true self. And that may be easier said than done, but I gotta tell you, that's why we do this personal work, to understand, asking yourself before you go into this type of presentation, that of course it's going to be a big deal. You may be asking for just $2,000 for a pollinator garden. You may be asking for $200,000 to get some business going that you're looking to start up that you'd like funding for. The only thing you really need is to ask yourself, what about this experience could trip me up? And how can I bring my best self to that? So preparing, and this goes into the third point here of how to prep to show up as the person who gets fully funded. So ask yourself, how can I prep? How can I show up and be able to premeditate? Like, what types of questions is a potential investor going to ask you? You like my little S there? It's like a superscript. How are people going to be trying to bounce ideas and perspectives on all sides of what you're proposing to try and understand whether it's a solid idea or not? So for example, if you're talking with somebody who's really interested in local food, what are the main pressing issues in local food? What are the main things that could get in the way of your project being successful? And do you have answers for that? Do you also have the clarified vision to be able to show up and really deliver that logic meets emotion, passion presentation in a clear way? So asking yourself the questions that may come up: clear presentation, clear vision. And this is getting a little more into, this is like a leadership mentality, but it also gets into more of the spiritual side of things. Because what you're also doing is you are wanting to embody the version of you that's getting funded. How does that version of you feel in the moment when you're giving the presentation? The confidence you're embodying, the certainty, the passion, the exhilaration in the moment. How does that version of you that gets funded feel? And what are you able to do on the other side of that funding conversation? If you have envisioned yourself, this is what Olympic athletes do, this is what the most successful people in the world do in any field. They envision themselves in that situation as the first person in the moment. So it's not like they're watching themselves as if they were a movie. They're in their body in that moment. Take a few minutes and visualize yourself in that room with the investors sitting at the table, whether you know what they look like or not. And then from that place of feeling and embodying the version of you that's getting funded, what does that feel like? And how can you bring more of that through? It may be the way that you dress, like wearing a snazzy blazer makes you feel really confident and on point. Maybe you go out for an awesome meal at a local farm-to-table restaurant with friends or with the investor before the presentation or after, and you have something to look forward to, right? What's going to make you feel really excited to be there before, during, and after your presentation? Because that energy comes through when you're actually delivering the presentation. And the last point about showing up as the person who gets funded, look at this from the investor's standpoint. What are they seeking to gain from this as far as the benefit they want to fund your project, the benefit that it's going to create out in the world, any monetary gain that they might have, what it's going to do for you, how they want to see the person they fund succeed, and what does success look like to them, and is that meeting your version of what you see success of your project being? Because ultimately, for any investment opportunity, you want that investor to have deeply aligned values with who you are. Because especially when you get above, say, the $10,000 mark of investment, It's so important to have somebody that you trust on both sides. So there's more accountability as you get higher and higher in the amount of investment you're receiving. There's more of this responsibility you're taking on to deliver. There's more responsibility the person who's investing is taking on to trust that you can do what you say, or trust that they can help you get that done. And also the amount of emotional investment that happens. This isn't just a money exchange. This is an emotional investment. This is beyond friendship. This is beyond just a regular professional client service provider scenario. So ensuring that you are really showing up in a way and actually setting up meetings with people where those values on your end and on their end are very clear, and having that come through in your presentation, those values through the imagery, blending the logic and the emotional side, and bringing things full circle, telling a story, having a story arc, and helping that investor see themselves as the role that they're playing in that story being essential and being directly connected very clearly to the type of benefit, the type of impact and legacy they want to have in the world. Whether this is like, a $2,000 pollinator garden grant, or whether it's $200,000 for some larger projects, either land-based, digital, whatever. The investor wants to leave a legacy, and you do as well. And so do those meet and merge to create harmony? And ultimately, are you two going to be able to work together? And are those roles very clear around who is responsible for what, how you're going to interact, how the money's going to be used, etc. So that when you're done with your presentation and when they say yes, which I'm so excited for them to do, and please comment below when that happens, then you both feel so solid about what you've done. And if you are interested in doing a deeper dive with me, I am offering a 90-minute session right now for the holiday season. I've got a limited offer on that. And if you'd like to talk more about investing and getting an investor presentation put together, or a specific topic of your choice related to your business and how you'd like to break through and create an action plan with me to move forward on that, just leave a comment eco below. Let me know what you guys got out of this video, and if there's something that you had a question about, I can do another post on. I would love to hear about it. I am going to go on a beautiful walk out in the snowy Minnesota weather. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out.